The fog rolled in thick that November morning when the Mary Celeste drifted into Gibraltar Harbor. Captain David Morehouse stood at the helm of his vessel, the Dei Grazia, squinting through the mist at the ship ahead. Something about her movement caught his eye. She was sailing erratically, zigzagging across the water like a drunk stumbling home. "That's strange," he muttered to his first mate, Oliver DeVoe. "She's under partial sail, but there's no one at the wheel." As they drew closer, Morehouse felt a chill that had nothing to do with the December air. He recognized the ship. It was the Mary Celeste, captained by his old friend Benjamin Briggs. They'd dined together just weeks ago in New York before both their ships set sail. "Ahoy, Mary Celeste!" DeVoe called out. His voice echoed across the water and died in the fog. No response came. The ship continued its ghostly drift, her sails flapping uselessly in the wind. Morehouse ordered a boarding party. 3 men rowed across the gap between the ships, their oars cutting through the silent water. When they climbed aboard the Mary Celeste, they found her deck completely deserted. The ship's wheel spun freely unmanned. A frayed rope trailed over the side into the sea. DeVoe descended into the captain's cabin. Papers were scattered across the desk, some still weighted down by a half-finished cup of tea. The child's toys lay abandoned in the corner, a doll with one button eye, a wooden horse on its side. Captain Briggs had brought his wife Sarah and their 2-year-old daughter Sophia with him on this voyage. Where were they now? The crew's quarters told the same story. Beds unmade, belongings left behind, clothing hanging from hooks. In the galley, they found food preparation interrupted mid-task. A pot of rice sat cold on the stove. Bread had been sliced but not eaten. It was as if everyone had simply vanished in the middle of their daily routine. But there were stranger details. The ship's cargo hold contained 1,700 barrels of commercial alcohol bound for Genoa. 9 of the barrels had been opened, their contents exposed. The ship's single lifeboat was gone, its davits hanging empty over the water. A section of the ship's rail had been removed, as if to launch the boat in a hurry. In the captain's cabin, they found the ship's log. DeVoe carefully turned the pages, his hands trembling slightly. The last entry was dated November 25th, 10 days earlier. It simply recorded the ship's position about 100 miles from where they'd found her drifting. There was nothing unusual about the entry, no hint of danger or distress. After that, the pages were blank. Most puzzling of all, the ship's chronometer and sextant were missing. No sailor would abandon ship without navigation equipment unless they intended to use it. The missing lifeboat, the missing instruments, it all pointed to a deliberate evacuation. But why? Morehouse searched for signs of violence or struggle. There were none. No blood, no damage from battle or mutiny. The ship herself was seaworthy, taking on only a few feet of water in her hold, nothing that couldn't be easily pumped out. Her hull was sound, her masts intact. There was absolutely no reason for the crew to abandon her. "Captain, you need to see this," called one of his men from below deck. Morehouse descended again, moving through the dim passages. The sailor pointed to the compass. Its glass was shattered, but not from any recent impact. The damage was old, yet it was strange that no one had noted it or repaired it. They found a sword beneath the captain's bed. When Morehouse drew it from its scabbard, he saw dark stains on the blade. His heart raced, but closer examination suggested rust, not blood. Still, why would Briggs keep a drawn sword under his bed? The galley provided another mystery. 6 months' worth of food and fresh water remained in storage. The crew wouldn't have starved or died of thirst. There were no signs of illness, no medicines spilled, no indication of disease. As Morehouse pieced together the clues, he felt increasingly unsettled. 10 people had been aboard the Mary Celeste, Captain Briggs, his wife and child, and 7 crew members. All had disappeared without explanation, leaving behind a perfectly sound vessel with valuable cargo. He thought of his last dinner with Benjamin Briggs. His friend had been excited about the voyage, proud to have his family with him. Briggs was an experienced captain, deeply religious and responsible. He would never have abandoned his ship without catastrophic reason. Morehouse made a decision. He ordered some of his own crew to sail the Mary Celeste to Gibraltar. The ship was valuable. Both she and her cargo would bring a handsome salvage reward. But more importantly, bringing her to port might help solve the mystery of what had happened. The journey to Gibraltar was uneasy. The men who sailed the ghost ship reported feeling watched, hearing unexplained sounds in the night. One claimed to hear a child crying from the captain's cabin, though he found it empty when he looked. Another swore he'd seen a woman's silhouette in the porthole, there one moment and gone the next. When both ships arrived in Gibraltar, the authorities immediately launched an investigation. The mystery of the Mary Celeste captured the public imagination. Newspapers published wild theories. Some claimed pirates had attacked, though there was no evidence of violence. Others suggested a sea monster had frightened the crew into fleeing. The most sensational papers whispered about supernatural forces. The official inquiry examined every inch of the ship. They questioned Morehouse and his crew extensively, some even suspecting them of foul play to claim the salvage. But no evidence of crime emerged. The investigation concluded that the crew had abandoned ship for unknown reasons, and that was all that could be said with certainty. Over the following months and years, theories multiplied. Perhaps the alcohol fumes from the open barrels had caused an explosion risk, panicking everyone into the lifeboat. Maybe a waterspout or seaquake had terrified them. Some suggested that Captain Briggs, fearing the ship would sink, had ordered everyone into the lifeboat, only to watch helplessly as the Mary Celeste sailed away while they perished in the open ocean. But none of these theories explained everything. Why take the chronometer and sextant if fleeing in panic? Why remove part of the railing so carefully? And perhaps most haunting, why was there no distress, no message left behind? The Mary Celeste was eventually sold and continued sailing for years, passing from owner to owner. But she carried a curse now, sailors said. Ships with her on the horizon would change course. No crew wanted to serve aboard the ghost ship that had lost her people. In 1885, 13 years after her mysterious voyage, the Mary Celeste met her end. Her final captain deliberately wrecked her on a reef near Haiti in an insurance fraud scheme. Even in destruction, she resisted, taking 3 days to sink while other ships would have gone down in hours. But the mystery never died. On foggy nights, sailors in the Atlantic still report seeing a ship drifting with no one at the helm, her sails catching wind she shouldn't have, moving with purpose toward some unknown destination. They say, if you look closely, you can see a child's toy on her deck, waiting for a little girl who will never return to play. The ocean, vast and unknowable, keeps its secrets well. The Mary Celeste became its most famous riddle, a ship that came back, but whose people never did. 10 souls vanished into the maritime void, leaving behind only questions that have echoed through generations. Their fate remains lost in the same waters where they disappeared, a reminder that even in our modern age, the sea can still swallow stories whole and refuse to give them back.